Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
I'm gonna take my time. It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way. Gotta take it on my way. It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way.
Hello, Nicola. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Judith. How are you?
And you're still here in the UK, which is freaking me a tad. What's occurring?
I decided that 2 weeks with my lovely children wasn't enough, which is usually the opposite way around. With Christmas social engagements and their Christmas social engagements, I didn't see anything of them. We were like ships that passed in Irving's flat night. Mm. And so I suddenly thought to myself, I'd love to spend some more time with them. So then I thought, hang on a minute, I can do whatever I like. So I did. I changed my flight for £37. I paid my rent online instead of in person, and I told the lady who was organising the taxi to pick me up at Athens that I wouldn't be back for another couple of weeks.
Marvellous.
It was easy.
And here's the testing question, of course. Are the children pleased that you're staying a bit longer?
Yes, they were. Phoebe didn't want to say stay longer, Mummy, because she didn't want me to feel that I couldn't go back to my own life. Yeah. But I think, the dark days of Christmas, New Year, and, she's I mean, I'll tell you a bit more about what she's up to later on, but I think she's pleased with the company, I think, because Nelson's in and out all the time. He drives for Domino's, he goes to college, he's got a girlfriend, so, I think she's a bit glad of a bit of female company.
Yeah, okay. Now, tell me about everything. It's been 2 or 3 weeks, I think. Tell me everything else that's happened in that time.
Judith, brace yourself for the epic journey story of a lifetime.
I'm ready. I'm poised.
Yeah, you know how disorganised I am. Well, the night before I was due to fly, I had a friend picking him up at 5 a.m, and she was going on roughly the same flight from Athens. So her husband was taking us both to Kalamata, which is an hour over the hills. And then we were going to get on an express bus from Kalamata to Athens, which is about 3.5 hours, very comfortable, very cheap, very efficient. And so anyway, the night before, I hadn't packed, but I had piled all of my stuff up on my bed. Not my bed, the spare bed. And so I knew what was going to go into the suitcase. I knew it was going to be about less than the weight it should be. And I was ready to go. But at that point, about 7:30, Sarah said something along the lines of, hadn't you better check in or something? So I said, okay, I'll do that. So I went off and I looked for my flight information. I clicked through to the page where I should check in online. And I saw this page that said, all flights have been cancelled with Cobalt Air. Please refer to your credit card company. And I sat there for a little while looking at that, thinking, I don't really understand what I'm looking at here. And then I realised that my flight had been cancelled.
Well, did Cobalt go into administration or something?
They did, and they didn't send any emails or anything like that at all. So it's only by going to check in online that I discovered this. But there's a little bit more to this story. When I first looked at my information in my email, I realised that we weren't going to get there on time. That I was going to have to, in fact, get an earlier bus at 4:45 a.m.
Wow, this is giving me quite a lot of stress already.
I can imagine. Wait, it gets worse. So for an hour, I'm having a panic about the time and getting there on time and thinking I'm going to have to either go to Athens right now, but I'd given up my car for the 2 weeks because there was a little dink in the back and they wanted to fix it. So I'm up the hill, no car. So the thought of trying to get to Kalamata by 4:45 a.m. means leaving at 3:45 a.m. means not really going to sleep. I thought I'd have to get a taxi to Kalamata and get in a hotel or something. Apparently there is one opposite the bus station. And the fact that there was even a 4:45 a.m. express bus was a bit of a miracle. So then I talked to Teresa, who was my friend. She said, don't worry, we'll just pick you up earlier, not an issue. So that was when I went to go and check in and found that the airline had gone bust. Yeah. So I'm laughing hysterically like a complete loon by this stage because I'm so stressed out. Anyway, so then I thought this is a good thing. This is a good thing because it means I can get my money back from my credit card company and I can book a flight that's more amenable to our original travel plans. Mm. So that's what I did. And they picked me up at 5. We got to Kalamata fine. We got on the express coach fine. We got to Athens fine. Checked in, had a lovely leisurely time at Athens. then I got to, the only thing was the new flight I booked was going to Heathrow, not Gatwick. So I arrived at Heathrow and I knew there was a coach. The kids were going to pick me up at Gatwick. I wouldn't make them drive to Heathrow. And so I thought, I knew there was a coach that went all the way around all the Heathrow terminals. Then it went to Gatwick and went all the way around all the Gatwick terminals. Then it went to Brighton. And I thought, I can do that. So I went to the coach station and she said, oh, no, there's nothing till about 7:30. It was 4:30. So I'm thinking, 3 hours and get in Heathrow coach station, really? And she said, she said, there's a late bus that should have gone 10 minutes ago coming into Dock A, subsection B3 or something. You could get that. So I bought that ticket. And she said, you're going to have to run, though. So I ran with all my suitcases and actually found the bus coming in. And I said to the chap, I said, you're the bus to Brighton? He said, yes, I am. We're a little bit late, but we'll catch up the time on the way down there. Are you getting on? I said, yes, I am. And then just at that moment, a notice came over the tannoy saying, could Nicola Cairncross please come to the ticket office, please? And I'm like, what? And I said to the man, I said, could you just look after my suitcase for me? He said, no, I'm not allowed to do that.
No,
bombs. And I said, well, can I put it on the bus then? Because I will be back in a minute. He said, no, I can't do that either. So I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to just walk off and leave this here. You know that this is not full of bombs, and I'm hoping that you're going to look after it for me. He said, madam, I will do my job.
Okay. And
I thought, I don't know what that means at all.
No.
But anyway, I ran to the ticket office, and good job I did, because she had my credit card there where I paid.
Oh, my word.
The machine. The one that... all my other credit cards, by the way, have expired, and all the replacements have been sent to Phoebe. So Phoebe's sitting on all my new cards, and this was the only one that was working. So I didn't really want to leave it in the machine.
No.
So I ran back to the bus, and the man was there, and he didn't say anything to me or anything. I got on the bus. Now we're travelling down to Brighton. I'm going around every single terminal at Heathrow. I'm going around every single terminal at Gatwick, but I'm fine because I'm on the bus to Brighton.
Yeah.
Suddenly realised I had absolutely no pounds at all because I was going to get some money at the coach station, and I've got no way of getting from Brighton to Shoreham. So I'm texting Phoebe by this stage. She said, Mummy, haven't you heard of contactless? And I said, what's that? And she said, it's a thing where you wave your card about and it takes your money. And I said, I definitely haven't got contactless on most of my cards, but I do have a new card that might have it. And this is where the story gets easy and fun and light and wonderful, because not only did I have a new card that had contactless, but I had an app on my phone that enabled me to put the contactless card on and enabled me to change euros into pounds in my card and then put them onto my account and then pay for the bus from Brighton to Shoreham with my contactless card. And I get on the bus, and there's only little places to plug your telephone in to charge it up as well.
Yeah.
I'm astonished at how good the buses have got all of a sudden. So I got there, and Phoebe said, Mummy, put your suitcase down. We're going straight to the wine bar. We took a large glass of wine. So we had a very lovely evening, and I chilled out. But my God, I'd been travelling since 5 a.m, and really the stress had started the night before.
Yeah, and of course I was stressed on your behalf because I thought you were travelling on drone day.
Oh, well, that's the funny thing, right? I was actually scheduled to come into Gatwick Airport on that same afternoon.
Yeah.
So the fact I flew into Heathrow was a bit of a godsend, really.
Yes, it was. Although yesterday the drones hit Heathrow. Did you see that?
Did they? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on with these drones. Nobody's seen any pictures of them.
I think the less we say on this topic, the better, because the public have not been told the truth about this.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, well, everybody agrees with me. I put it on Facebook saying I don't understand why you would shut an airport with a drone, and everybody went, oh, Judith, stop being so naive.
Yeah, there's more going on.
There is. Yes, that meets the eye, caller.
Yes. So tell us about your Christmas, and I'll tell you about my Christmas.
Oh, okay. Well, on the day, the 25th, we had a reasonably peaceful Christmas, no rowing or upsets, which isn't a given in the Morgan family because we're all quite large and opinionated, I'll tell you why later in Who or What's Impressed. But so quite a nice day, quite a long day. I didn't get home till I think I put my lights out at 5 o'clock in the morning on Boxing Day, and my middle nephew Gareth said that the previous year they didn't. Their dawn curfew was 7 a.m, so we were a bit earlier this year, 4 a.m. ish. And after that, on the 27th and the 28th, I had 2 nice visits from friends. On the 27th, it was Susie from Manchester. She didn't come from Manchester. She was staying in Lewisham, where one of her children and grandchildren lives. And I've known her since the mid-70s. And then on the 28th, Sharon, who is my friend that I lived with in Kent last year, who I met via the Money Gym, actually. So I haven't known Sharon very long, but I've known Susie for 40 years. Both lovely, both obliged to eat my turkey, which I cooked on Boxing Day, but they didn't seem to mind that. What else have I been up to? I enjoyed writing my 2 long blog posts, 2018 in numbers and 2018 in
Oh,
feels.
yeah, that's good. I love that.
And I want to do a lot more writing in 2019, but it's the 10th today, and I haven't made up my mind yet how I'm going to do that. I don't want to commit to 365 days, but you remember I did that once before, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it's too late to commit to that now anyway, because it's the 10th of January. Haven't made up my mind. When I write, I love it, and whenever I'm asked questions like we're going to discuss later about, what do you want your 2019 to be all about, almost always the first word that comes to my mind is writing. And when somebody asked me in a silly quiz the other day, what do you want your next career to be? Well, I want to be a writer and a broadcaster. I don't know, but writing is it. It hasn't mulched down yet how that will trickle out.
You couldn't say to yourself, I've written those 2 monster blog posts, that's the first 10 days of my year.
Well, I think where I'm leaning towards is, last year I wrote rather a lot, but they were mainly about the book. And this year, once that was all over, it sort of settled down into 1 blog post a week about the podcast.
Yeah.
And that's not enough. I think as long as I write 1 more blog post a week, and yesterday, accidentally, a client gave me 2 topics, but I didn't feel like writing them yesterday. I think, the thing with writing is if you wait for the muse, it'll never happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to make, you have to make a pledge of some description. And I'm still working out what my, Nicola, what my pledge will be. And I don't see any reason to rush that decision. But if the least I do is 2 blog posts a week, one of which is about the podcast and one of which is about something else, that will probably start me off, I think. And the funny thing is, last Sunday, which was the night before I went back to work on Monday the 7th, I went into a huge frenzy of writing. I did loads of writing. I wrote blog posts, I wrote newsletters, I wrote Facebook notes, I wrote at length on Facebook. When I feel it, I can't stop myself. Loads.
Yeah.
And the other thing I did on my Christmas holidays was, when I spoke to you last, I said I was going to do a 21-day tapping challenge. Well, I did it. I finished it, thoroughly enjoyed it. And I thought I would explain to you, I don't know what's the matter with me. Hang on a sec.
All right.
So I thought I'd work out why it worked for me. It came into my inbox. So I didn't have to remember to go looking for it.
Ooh.
It sat there every day until I did it. And once or twice in the 21 days, I think perhaps twice, I didn't do it on the day, so I had to do 2 the next day, but that was fine. I got Marianne to do it with me, so you've got a little bit of accountability. I've saved them, and I'm intending to do it again. And when we got to the end of each challenge, when we got to the end of the 21 days, she sent us all 21 scripts in a PDF, but that's actually not handier. I need to work out a way of getting... I'll tell you what I think I might do. On the 1st of every month, I'll start on number 1, so I'll always know where I am. So if I start on the 1st of February, I'll do number 2 on the 2nd, number 3 on the 3rd. Does that make sense? Yeah. But actually, I don't need to wait. I've realised it's the 10th today. I could do the one called number 10 today. Yeah, just that would give me the last 10 days of every month free, which is fine.
You're very orderly, aren't you? That's the thing.
Well, I need it because it's not going to automatically come into my inbox now.
Yeah.
You see? So I've got...
yourself.
You what?
You could boomerang it all to yourself.
Yeah, no, I do what that means, and I don't want to learn. Now, I did manage to resist all of the 100 horrendous upsells, and she's still sending them to me every day now. And when I recommended this 21-day tapping challenge to people in various groups, several of them seemed to find those upsells so upsetting they couldn't actually complete the 21-day challenge itself, which is interesting. I think that's a shame, because free information can be so valuable, whether or not you actually spend up any money, end up spending any money on buying anything. And I think and the other reason why I like this, I'm already more than proficient at tapping, so I didn't need to buy anything to learn how to do it or derive value from it. Yeah, but I think it's worth thinking, because you mentioned this before Christmas, and you said your mentor had done the same thing. Why is it in the face of good marketing we feel powerless to resist, or conversely, like some of my little clients, allow it to put them off? I don't feel powerless to resist, and I don't let them put me off. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, yes, totally. I watch every one of Frank Kern's videos because he's doing a great job at the moment. I've bought some of his products. I bought his new book, and
you told us, But you see, in a way, it's like because you want to, isn't it?
Yes, because I know it will be good value. It was the right price for me, and I don't feel compelled to
No. Quite. Isn't that interesting? So we both feel empowered not to buy unless we want to, and marketing, good, bad, and indifferent, doesn't actually put us off, or we don't allow it to put us off if the central free information has a value.
There's the rub right there. Put us off. I think we like marketing, we respect marketing, we use marketing. I think a lot of people find marketing repulsive in some way, and that's going to mean that they're never going to be able to make any money themselves, because you have to market your products in order to sell them.
Yeah.
And you can only help people if people buy your stuff.
But also, marketing, like almost everything else in the world, comes in infinite variety. And I'm absolutely confident with every single client I can find a way for them to market that isn't repulsive to them or their clients, because we've only got a gazillion choices of how to do it. I
know. It's obviously, email marketing is regarded as spam by lots of people, and your client, the ones who were put off by it, just don't like getting emails.
Yeah, it wasn't that she sent us extra emails. It was that the upsells within the daily email were quite ferocious.
Oh, what do you mean ferocious?
Well, beyond assertive into aggressive. Like, unless you have this, you won't be able to do that. Kind of.
No,
well, commercial. Let's call it.
Well, no. What she was doing was she was pressing on a lot of the hot buttons that are repulsive. Scarcity, FOMO.
Yes.
All those things that make you feel less rather than more.
I'm not. I don't want to say that that's what she did, but I noticed them all and just carried on with my free tapping.
Yeah.
And somebody else's remark was, "Oh my God, all of these are putting me off." And I said at the beginning, when I introduced them to it, I said, "Ignore all of the upsells."
Yeah, you made it perfectly plain that
I did. Anyway,
it's
no. Don't let's get dragged into this one, because I want to hear about the rest of your holidays.
Well. So I largely spent the 2 weeks over Christmas and New Year catching up with friends, family, close friends and family. This week, I'm spending more time with people. I saw Kim for the second time this week, and funnily enough, we spent the whole evening talking about Facebook ads, because she works part time for her partner's company, who produce upmarket luxury hampers.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
For the likes of John Lewis and National Trust and things. But they're left with quite a lot of leftover stock. And once the leftover stock has been returned by people like Costco and National Trust and all that stuff, then there's left sitting with it. And I said, have you tried using Facebook ads to get rid of it? Because you could get rid of it and not have to go through the middleman and make quite a good profit. Anyway, so they're giving me a little bit of a budget to play with, because I just wanted to see if it was possible to shift a £300 to £500 hamper on Facebook. And
I bet it would be. Do you know why? Because there are lots of people that buy stuff in January, aren't there? Even though they won't need it or use it until later in the year.
Honestly, the photos are absolutely gorgeous, Judith. What I'll do is I'll make a Lumen 5 video out of the photos, and then I'll play that to people who drive Mercedes and BMWs and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, because you can really target it. Anyway, it's just a bit of fun, really. But so, funnily enough, we spent the whole evening talking about business, which was quite nice. I also went for Phoebe's friend Coutura has opened a rather beautiful salon in Stenning High Street, and I went for a Reiki treatment, and Phoebe had a massage and a Reiki treatment. So we had a lovely afternoon on Friday getting pampered. Christmas Day was an interesting one, because I cook, and I cook from scratch, mainly to keep it as cheap as possible. But this year, Sarah and Chloe, her daughter, were in charge of buying, and Phoebe and I were in charge of cooking. And they went and they did it in 20 minutes in Marks and Spencer's and bought everything from packets. And we thought this would be a delicious, luxury, easy thing to do. But actually, it's just as hard to cook from getting lots of things out of packets on the timing front as it is to cook from scratch.
It's impossible. I'm in the same notebook now, because I did that. And actually, I had things at, hang on, let me go and look. You have things at gas mark 5, things at gas mark 6, things at gas mark 7. You need about 3 ovens to cook Christmas dinner at home yourself and have everything all ready at the same time.
Yeah, but the other thing was, it actually wasn't that tasty, and there wasn't as much of it. So there wasn't as many leftovers as I would have liked, because I like to live for the next week on the leftovers.
Oh, quite. That's why I cook my own on Boxing Day. Yeah.
Bubble and Squeak, I noticed you
quite. I love Bubble and Squeak, yeah.
Yeah. So, and Grandad Sandy, who's arrived back from New Zealand after about 15 years, his wife was away in New Zealand with her daughter for Christmas, and Gaga Sandy had a triple bypass or something about 8 weeks ago, and he'd obviously been rationed on the booze by Eileen, who's much more she's an ex-nurse and much more strict about these things. because he came round to see his grandchildren, who he hasn't seen since they were about 3 or 4. Swiftly downed a bottle of red, fell asleep on the sofa, and had to be taken home straight after dinner. So
Yes, it's a common fault with that model, I think.
it is. He was a nice drunk. He spent the whole Christmas lunch, which he hardly ate any of, by the way, because he was full up with wine by then, saying, "Oh, I'm so proud of you all, I'm so proud of you all," which was lovely.
Yes.
But then he went home and woke up in his bed later wondering what had happened to Christmas.
Yes.
So that was quite funny. That's pretty much it, really. That's pretty much all my stories from Christmas, New Year at the moment.
Okay, all right. So shall we move on to what's fueled your fire?
Yes. Okay.
Go for it.
Well, it's so interesting you talk about this writing thing, because it seems like my life's going in a very similar direction. So I feel the thing that I treated myself to at Christmas was Andre Chaperon's new course, and that arrived between Christmas and New Year, the first module of it. So I started, and it's very much based around Seth Godin's model of serving rather than selling. And how can you find the smallest number of people to serve in a way that will transform their lives and transform yours?
Yes,
and it's
absolutely.
a lovely focus, it really is. And so I got started with that, and there was quite a lot of watching various videos, Elizabeth Gilbert among them, Ash Moira, so lots of people who I knew and heard of, but lots of new material to me. So I spent between Christmas and New Year watching lots of lovely videos, being very inspired and uplifted. And I'm working my way through that course, and it is really fueling my fire. I bought it because I thought I'd need some help marketing my new writing website, which I'll tell you about later. But actually, it's just as good for marketing anything. What's it called? It's called, one second, Lean Business for Creators. So his actual, remember I bought Autoresponder Madness off him?
Yes, I do.
He's got a business called tinylittle.businesses.com, and this is his brand new thing. And it was in beta testing. He said it's going to be rough as old boots, but really it's something that should be selling for 1,200 quid, and I bought it for 200. So it was a good deal. Yeah, good
And
deal.
also, do you know what? I think the next decade of marketing will be about service rather than selling.
Yes, totally. It's the only way to go, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because people are changing, you see.
Yeah, they're becoming more sophisticated.
They are.
Turned off by...
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and everything changes. That was the way we were taught to do it, and it worked then, but it's not going to work now.
But what you'd love about this, Judith, is he's very focused on, you don't need hundreds of thousands of people in your mailing list. You don't need hundreds of thousands of visitors to your website. You just need to be able to connect with a small number of people whose lives you can change, who will then change your life, because...
That's what I do with every single client. Yesterday I spoke to a woman. She and her family are upsticking from the UK and going to live in Australia from July.
Yeah.
And she's very able, and we are talking about making a business now that will travel with her. And she's got 2 small children, so she hasn't got very much time. And I said, what's the population of the place you're going to live in? 33,000. How many clients do you need, in a year to make the living you have in mind? 6. Good. We only need 6 out of those 33,000 then. And of course, given that marketing is global these days, one of them could be in your own hometown, not necessarily a new one. So that's what I do with everybody. It's what John Williams always used to, and Jill Fielding also used to call the back of the fag packet sums. It's like, what do you want to make? What do you want to charge? Divide one into the other. Well, you only need 6 people or 10 people or 100 people. It's easy, isn't it?
And the other thing, it reassures you, because, you can do things like, marketing and look at your blog post numbers and things like that, as I do, and look at my people who watch my 1-minute videos and just see, 10, 20, 30, 50, and think, I'm never going to get there like this. But actually,
it's enough. It
totally.
is. Yeah, it's enough. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always used to say, when in the real world, that London was a big enough market where I was living and working for, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. It's a big enough market for anybody for anything.
Yeah, that's very
I
true.
think the exception would be if you were somebody like, Boeing, and you made Rolls-Royce aircraft or something like that. It's not a big enough market for that. But for people like us, usually a fairly small catchment area where we live and work, whether online or off, is enough.
Yeah. So what's fueled your fire then?
Well, I still have half a mind to have this sabbatical in 2019, but for some unknown reason, a flood of absolutely fabulous unsolicited testimonials came in, which is it's like the big used guiding hand saying, don't stop, Judith, keep helping people, keep helping. But there's one for us, which I thought I'd read you, one for the podcast.
Lovely.
I just wanted to say thank you again for the difference you make in my life. I look forward to your newsy newsletter every Friday. Own It the podcast is another highlight of my week. There's often one gem or two from you or Nicola that I carry with me through the week or think about for my business. You can't easily measure the value it brings. Its ongoing presence is important, just being there. It's stimulating and it feels real. The pre-Christmas one on friendship was so pertinent. It made me reflect on friends around the world that I've kept up with over the years.
Lovely.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I know. You see, and that was the same thing as was happening. It's keep podcasting, Judith. Keep podcasting. Keep writing your newsletter. Keep helping people. The big U doesn't want me to have a year off.
Yeah. Well, I certainly don't. That's
anyway, we'll see where it goes. It's all under review at the moment. But these are... And that leads us nicely onto our focus of the week, which is, how do we make a plan for 2019? Not just you and me, but everybody. What are our plans for 2019? Do you want to start and tell me about the thinking you've been doing?
Yes. Well, I did my usual what worked, what didn't, that sort of thing. I'm really still trying not to take on new stuff. Although, having said that, I did launch a whole new business just before Christmas. Because I couldn't help myself, Judith. I saw.
And are you going to tell us about that here now or later on?
No, I'm going to tell you about it in Project Update.
Oh, good.
But it was just such an amazing, obvious, brilliant opportunity, and I set myself little, halts, little barriers. I said, well, if I can't do it for that, then I won't do it. If I can't do it, if it's not easy and fun and effortless, I'm not going to do it. And so every single one of those barriers dropped down. So as I go into and the other thing is, doing this course has refocused me on, to make a fabulous living, I only need 100 members of Clicks and Leads Academy, and I've got about 36. So really, I don't actually need that many more. And no. I've got a fantastic living that would travel anywhere with me and enable me to just say, I can take 2 more weeks to be with my daughter if I want to,
Yes.
So it's really about trying to resist the temptation to add more on. And that includes any more marketing initiatives, because my 1-minute videos are just doing incredible stuff. All of my engagement on all of my social media platforms is up by 30 to 50%. And so is the traffic to my sales pages. So I just don't need to do any more than that, except make 7 1-minute videos on a Monday morning, do the podcast with you, write my newsletter, and do the V-zine sort of is quite easy as well. So I don't need to do any more than that. But what I do need to do is not stop. Because 2 points, if I may make them. Yeah.
One is your 36 out of 100 is what I call to my clients a challenge, Annika, which means you don't stop till you get 100.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Your challenge, Annika, should you choose to accept it, is to go out and get the remaining 64, whatever it is, and keep them renewed, obviously, because you'll lose 10% a year or something like that.
Yeah, but most people are signing for a year now, so it makes life a whole lot easier.
Yeah, and the other thing, and I'm looking for it because I put a video, somebody else's video, obviously not my own, on my Facebook page yesterday, which was one of those inspiring goal, I forget what they're called, give me a second, I'll find it. But every time we start something new, even a new initiative about an old thing, it's like saying to the universe, I don't believe or trust in what I've already got going here. Here we go. There's a video about, I forget what it is. It's basically, he just says, just complete something, stop flirting with it, just see it all the way through from the beginning to the end. I'll share that with you later. Yeah. But yeah, keep going. I like what you've said so far very much. It's simple too, isn't it?
Well, it is simple, yes. And the other thing is that every time I start anything new, I'm taking time away from my life. And my life is where the book, the sci-fi book is.
Yes.
And I've done quite a lot. I've got this new course I'm starting, 6-week course with Curtis Brown Creative in a minute.
Yes.
That's going to drop any day now. And I want time in my life to be able to spend time focusing on that. And because I'm really very committed to writing this book.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of planning. I've learned a lot over Christmas about it. I've been doing someone else's course as well, just a free thing, about how to write a book. It was what was it called? Hang on a second. It's basically a matrix you lay over your story so that it tells you whether you've got all the essential things that a blockbusting film or book should have.
And interesting, it's another free course, and what we're doing today is saying how valuable they can be.
Well, totally. I mean, it was 6 videos by some guy who was an agent in Hollywood, managed lots of talent, and funnily enough, it was recommended to me by one of my writerly friends, and you're going to laugh. The guy he started representing that became really big was Stephen Pressfield, who wrote The War of Art.
Oh yes,
but he's also written lots of fiction. And
yes.
So you've got Stephen Pressfield, who I respect and know from the business world, and then you've got this chap who's an agent whose name escapes me right now, Sean something. And then they came together to make a business, a business where they've got a third person in. It's a publishing house. They help writers to write successful books by using this story matrix grid thing. And I love a bit of structure, you know me.
Yes.
So I've been working over the holidays on putting my story into this story grid. And apparently it'll make it much easier to attract an agent if I want an agent, which I obviously do. And this guy who invented the story grid is actually a big sci-fi agent. That's how I found him in the first place.
Ah, okay.
Someone said, you might want to look at this guy. He represents the best sci-fi writers in the world.
So the Sean person.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I found what the gist of that message was. The video. It's commit to something and see it all the way through. And I think what we all do is we start something and then give up.
Yes, before we're likely to see any results.
Exactly. Before it works.
We let things put us off.
We do.
Yeah. So that's really what I've been thinking about, is just basically building Clixley's Academy, getting my little side project on for fun. And the reason I wanted a side project is because I'm about to hire someone, as you'll hear in the next episode. Okay. And I need something that they can work on when they're not working on, day-to-day jobs.
Yes, like your man you told us about before Christmas. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm. So that's good. I just want to get this book out there.
So Clicks and Leads, the side project, and your sci-fi book.
Yes.
Simple.
Don't let me add anything.
And lovely number. Well, if you add any more, we'll hear it on here, and it won't just be me. It'll be all the listeners that will hear you.
Please tell me off in the group.
So for a long while now, at this time of the year, I'm always on the lookout for something gentle as a way for preparing for another new year, because resolutions don't work for me, or almost anyone, I think, because they're a bit restrictive. And I was really poorly on the first, the New Year's Day, and the second and the third, with no explanation. Dr. Morgan Google suggested it might be overindulgence over the Christmas holiday, but I was really in pain and I couldn't get out of bed and I couldn't eat or drink anything on the 1st of January. So that was like a sign, which was, don't leap out of bed and make some New Year's resolutions, just lie in your bed for a bit, which, frankly was lovely. If I wasn't in pain, it was lovely. So I always have got this slight thing, which I've alluded to earlier today, which is if I can't start on the 1st, I've blown it, which isn't true, of course, because lots of my clients don't start New Year's until February, and lots of nice messages this week saying, we've got 365 days. Why are we hurtling at it? Which I think is a very good point. So I'm always looking for something self-loving, and I found a lovely meme, which I've shared, and I'll put it in our Facebook group tomorrow when this goes out live. It's 2 columns, and the left one is headed what we think we need. And the right-hand one says what we really want. And it's only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in them. So I'm going to read it to you. So what we think we need is a different body. And what we really want is to feel comfort in the one that we have. And what we think we need is to change ourselves. And what we really want is to accept ourselves. And what we think we need is rules for ourselves. But what we really want is trust in ourselves. And what we think we need is discipline. But what we really want is self-compassion. What we think we need is self-control. What we really want is self-care. What we think we need is control. And what we really want is freedom. And what it says at the bottom, this is from a website called yourhappyhealthy.com. What it says at the bottom is everything in the first column does not bring you the things in the second column. So practicing all of those mean and nasty and boot campy type of arrangements do not bring you this lovely, accepting, comfortable, trusting, compassionate, caring freedom that we really want. And I thought that was very nice, actually. It's sort of the antithesis of resolutions, which are quite boot campy. for me
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
But I also found another article on tut.com, which I will share in again tomorrow when this goes live. And I think both of these are in my newsletter tomorrow as well, but I realize all our listeners don't listen to that, read that. I think I found a nice way of prepping, and it's an article, as I said, from tut.com, and I have done it this week. I've done it in my notebook. I never make a big do about what I'm doing. I go, right, it's the time to do this now. I'll work on it. And I've written it down. And it gets you to sort of meditate a bit, which is more your bag than mine. But it gets you to go into that meditative space. And it's about creating, it's called 5 Elements of Effective Intentions. And the 5 elements are clarity, i.e. getting very clear about what it is that you want. Detachment, that's where we're not attached to the outcome. Now, this one is quite controversial, I think. Keeping quiet about it. Don't tell the whole bloody world about it. Just share it with somebody if you must, but no broadcasting. Don't worry about the details, which is very Tut, because Tut always says, don't obsess about the cursed hows. And gratitude, which we're also already wedded to, you and me. So I did do that. I can't find it now, but I did do it. It is somewhere in my notebook here. Let me just have a quick squiz. Oh, yes, there it is, I think. So I found 2 nice ways, and I will share the actual detail of both of them in our Facebook group tomorrow for listeners, and it's in my newsletter tomorrow for readers. So gentle is how I like to do it. Let me just go back to where I wrote down. I mean, mine are about things like, desires, the things I want to feel, and not necessarily the things I think that will enable me to feel that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you get the distinction? Yeah. So, I'm living in somebody else's house now. It's nice and warm. Do I need to own my own home to feel nice and warm? No. Do you see? Now, that's not to say I wouldn't like to buy my own home in 2019, but there you go. So they're all about, my things are always the same, really. They're always about ease with, feeling well and feeling at ease with, money, health, safety, choices, how you choose to celebrate your life and enjoy your life. And then my 2 other things are always, the opportunity to keep helping other people, and also the things I love to do, which is writing and conversation. And I put them down as my gifts, which sounds arrogant, but I think they're my natural things, and that's what I would always encourage a client to do. What's your natural things? Let's do them.
Yeah, because I've been putting Phoebe through Wealth Dynamics through your link on your website, by the way.
Oh, marvelous.
And then also the Colby test and various other, and the other things was true values and true needs. Do you remember?
And what did you discover, the 2 of you?
Oh, well, she's a creator mechanic with a bit of star. Okay,
all across the top, just the same as you and me.
Yeah, but she's got quite a bit of trader, which is down the bottom, which was interesting.
Well, you can't have that with those all across the top.
Well, she's that's the next biggest one, so that's interesting.
Well, then she must be down the right-hand side. Where's trader on the box?
Down the bottom.
Where? Bottom, right or bottom?
Hers looks like.
You have to look at the picture, darling. You got to have your primary. Really.
Which is creator, sorry.
Well, and then she can't have trader as a secondary because it's too far away.
No, she hasn't. She's got mechanic as a secondary.
Yes.
But when you look at her circle, it's like...
Yeah, I think that's misleading.
Yeah, okay.
It's only... He always said at the beginning it was your primary and your secondary.
Right. Okay.
And actually then he changed his mind and said it's your primary.
Oh, right.
So if she's a creator, no surprise, really.
Because we did do all this because she's looking for a full-time job, because she wants to go out and work in a team now. So
I don't think that's a bad idea at her stage of life. I think it's how you learn, in a funny way, how to be self-employed, if that's what you ultimately choose to do.
Yes. Oh, no, she's had a business idea as well at the same time. So we're doing that as well as looking for jobs for her. So
okay.
And I mean, really, another time I'll tell you the absolute nonsense that they wanted her to do for the interview.
Yes, I can imagine.
She went back to them and said, I can't do that. And so they did an interview anyway.
Yes. Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
All about your planning for
Yes, it is all about my planning. Yes.
Okay, so project updates then.
No, words of the week. And remember, the new rule is I lead these conversations.
Okay.
So, Nicola, what is your word of the week?
It's family, bracket good, because I've thoroughly enjoyed being with my family this Christmas.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something similar later on as well. And mine is tapping for obvious reasons, because I love how easy and fast and free it is. So now we can do project updates. You go first.
I launched writingclubworld.com.
Oh, this is so exciting.
I know. And I'm not joking. Within a day, I put loads of articles about writing groups and writing clubs on the website with obvious accreditation and links back to the original articles. And within a day, I was getting people coming from Bing. Bing indexed it within a day, and people were coming from all over the world. And it was just the most exciting thing because just to see a new website go up and see people finding it in Australia and Zambia and America and Canada and New Zealand, just thrilling, absolutely thrilling. And people started signing up and uploading their little stories, and then we went with the minimum viable version, and it was a bit rough around the edges, but Zoltan stood ready to make amendments, and we went with what people were asking for. So we iterated several times over Christmas and New Year. And it's really something I'm quite proud of now. And I ran a Facebook ads campaign to just get likes to the page, and a good proportion of those likes went over to the website and then registered, because I can see, obviously, because they end up on a thank you page that I've got a pixel on. And it's all going very well. I've actually paused the likes ad now because we've got over 500 likes on the page. And I've just now got to work out how to create content for this site, because it's going to be a content-driven site. And the income is going to come from Patreon, which you're always very keen on, aren't you? And
I am.
And Andre is as well, from Great Little Businesses.
Yeah.
And he, and also from advertising. So people will be able to advertise on the site, but I've got to get lots of eyeballs on the site for that. So it's a pro blogger situation, really. Lots of content, and that's one of the things my new assistant will be doing.
And we're going to talk a little bit about pro blogging tomorrow, aren't we? Because I want to talk to you about Patreon in that context as well, but not today. Okay.
Yeah.
Remind me, I'm not sure I put it on my note for tomorrow, but remind me, because Patreon have sent me a really useful email over the Christmas holidays, which I wasn't sure whether to forward to our mutual friend that we were discussing earlier, but we'll come back to that one tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah. I've watched a couple of very interesting videos from the guy who started Patreon. He's a lovely guy.
Yes, he is a lovely chap. Have I liked this Writing Club World page? I'll go and have a look in a minute. Yeah. Can you tell the listener, because what we've done is we've jumped. Just remind the listener what Writing Club, why Writing Club World?
All right. So the one thing that's really helped me enormously in my writing journey is to get constructive critique by the ladies of my Write Club. Now, not everybody can find a Write Club locally, or they can, they could get away from, perhaps they've got children or whatever. Lots of the authors we interview on Write Club, the podcast, have young children. So getting out of the house is a challenge, for a few hours every week. So the idea is that you go online to look for somewhere to upload your stuff. Now, a lot of the places that exist already are forum-based, so they're very dated, they're very out of. They got thousands and thousands of users over the years. People are quite harsh and critical, and so it's not the right sort of situation, really. So I found a place that was British and had been started by a chap who got Arts Council funding, but it hasn't been updated since 2014, as far as I can tell. I did try to track him down to see if I could buy it off him. The software was still working, where you upload your story, and you earn a credit to get a review for your story by reviewing other people's stories. So it's a peer review site, really. And I thought, when I couldn't find him, and then found out that there'd been quite a bit of, bad PR about it, that I didn't want to buy it. After all, I was going to take the idea and make it better. So that's what I've been doing with my software guy, who did it, I'm not joking, in less than 3 weeks in December, and I'm so impressed with him. So it's a free website where you can upload a bit of your writing, and you can earn credits to get your work reviewed by reviewing other people's work.
All right. And can we just record here on the 10th of January 2019 to go out live tomorrow what I said immediately I saw the site go live, which was, I just got this huge sense, and you remember my new clairsentient thing, that this could be the one.
Well, it's something I've always wanted to do, which is have a software-driven site with a service that's so immediately blooming obvious to everyone.
And
that
also, everybody's buying what
selling.
they love. Everybody's
Yeah.
buying what they love, their habits, their hobbies, and their private stuff, not what they need.
Something that was hobby-based, yeah.
Yeah.
So it filled a lot of needs for me that I've been nurturing since 1998 when I had artistmanager.com. Do you remember that's my first?
I do. Please don't give this one up, Nicola.
Well, I'm not going to. I mean, there's no
Okay.
reason to, because it's something I can pick up and put down whenever I want to,
Yeah, I love it.
in between everything else.
I've just
Yeah.
liked your page, by the way.
Thank you very much. Do share it. The best thing is it's free to the writers, and it always will be. So people can choose to support it if they want to, or they can advertise to my audience, and I could put Google ads on it, but I think that's a bit ugly, so I'm going to try and do it without that for now.
Isn't it a shame that Google ads is ugly and Google haven't fixed that?
Yeah, it is. You can have display ads which look a lot nicer, but
Yes, they do, yeah.
you haven't, and you can control who advertises on your site through Google ads now. You couldn't in the early days, but you can now. Oh, we'll see. It's a thing that will unfold, in its own time.
And I think Patreon is a nice model. Now, I've got something to report in project updates. Yeah, so I've introduced a new project. So I noticed suddenly that my clients could sign up for a year or an hour. And I thought, probably squeeze something in the middle there.
Yeah,
so I've launched Crazy Bespoke, which is any client can suggest what I'd like to do with you between a year and an hour and we can negotiate it. And if it works for both of us, we're on. I've had 5 or 6 take me up on it already, all different requirements.
Nice.
Yes, all different requirements, which was my intuition. And, I just love being with clients. It's all the same to me. And what I'm looking to demonstrate is different entry points. Do you want to build a business, in which case you're going to need a minimum of a year? If that's too long for you, you can buy an hour. If that's not enough, and some people have said that, then let's have something in the middle. What would suit you? Would you like an hour to start and half an hour once a fortnight, or what? You tell me. And people have proposed, I'd like to do 1 a quarter and things like that. They want the commitment of, I can't turn up there and not tell Judith I've that. So once you get in, I always think of it like the Albert Hall, which has got all these tunnels into the central roundy bit. Once you get in, it's all the same. It's just me and our co-creative conversations. But I didn't want people to think, I don't want to commit to a year and an hour isn't enough. So really, I'm just encouraging people to, please come and work with me. I love being helpful.
And how do you price that?
Well, it depends. I've got to know what they want. Give me a brief, and I'll give you then your budget, and I'll see what I can do for that.
Oh, okay, right. So
it's the antithesis of a package. Okay.
Yes. How interesting, because everyone always says it's easier for people to buy packages, but
I don't. You see, I think packages are going out with the old marketing as well.
Yeah. See, I have to. That would never work for me in a million years, because I would be completely confused.
Well, I don't want to be. Well, except that you're not selling your time like I am. I don't want anyone to squidge me into a package, Judith. If I'm buying, I don't want to buy a package. I want something Judith shaped. And I thought, well, maybe clients are the same. And yes, indeed they are. I've got packages there. If you want packages, buy a package. If you want an hour, buy an hour. But if you want something in between, tell me what you need and I'll quote for it.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I like.
Or vice versa. Tell me your budget and I'll tell you what I can do for that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's good too.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Okay. So, and you've got several people have jumped on it straight away?
Half a dozen, actually. Yes.
Well, that's when you can tell you're onto something, isn't it?
Well, I think they were just sitting there hoping that I would offer it instead of asking me.
Yeah, that's interesting too, isn't it?
Well, I had 2 interesting responses. The first one was from a client who said, I think this is what you do already, which was nice. And then from another one that said, I think this is a brilliant idea, who clearly didn't see it in the same way.
Yeah. Oh, fascinating. Well, fingers crossed that carries on. And you've got a page on your website for it, presumably?
Not yet, no.
Oh, right.
I put it in my newsletter twice, it's like, not yet, no. I haven't. It's only the 4th morning, isn't it? I haven't had a chance yet to give my website a work over. I have actually been on there and corrected. Now it's 2019, not 2018. But that's
the thing is, if you've written it up in your newsletter, you're just going to whack that on a page and you're done, aren't you?
Well, yes, but it makes you review everything. It's like, sooner or later it'll be on there, but it's not on there yet. But I'm only on day 4 at 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're on to who or what's impressed or inspired. You tell me.
Well, two things have impressed me and 2 things have. One thing hasn't.
Oh.
The thing that hasn't impressed me is my iPhone, which with every update now, I have to delete a load of apps in order to get the new update on. And then when I put the apps back on, it can barely function, which is jolly annoying considering I paid 350 quid for it a couple of years ago. I didn't think to buy a 32 gig. I bought a 16 gig, and it's just not enough. And I spent some time with Phoebe last night, who impressed me very well by helping me try and get rid of a load of old crap off it. But she also impressed me in a different way, because she's gone on New Year's Eve. She said, right, that's it. I'm not drinking. I'm going dry January. I'm going to do some exercise every other day, if not every day. And she's actually stuck to it. She's been bouldering. She's went to a fitness class in Hove. She's been drinking low alcohol lager. You know, she didn't drink that much, to be fair, anyway. But having worked in a pub and seen the worst of it, so but she's stuck to it so far. I'm very impressed with that.
So she is doing New Year's resolutions. Yeah,
but not in a way that it seems easy to her. It's not a big deal. She just said, "Oh, that's it. I'm just doing that now."
Yeah.
And she works from home, so getting out and getting some exercise is really important. She's been doing that, which has been great. But the final thing that impressed me, and I'm hoping we're going to have a little discussion about it, is Luther. Oh, that was so good, wasn't it?
I thought it was, yes. People weren't impressed, but I thought it was great.
Oh,
and last night, Amanda, who's one of our listeners, got me to watch something on ITV called Manhunt.
Oh, what's Manhunt? Is that based on the Thomas Harris book?
Yeah, no, it's based on the true story of, a murder on Twickenham Green, which led to the catching of the man who abducted Millie Dowler.
Oh, well, that sounds good.
Yeah, it is good. And if you watch it on the ITV hub, it gets the hour comes down to 45 minutes, 3 times 45 minutes, all done last night, gripping. Now, let's go back to Luther. Well, I'm a fan and I'm a completist. I got in at 2010. That was season 5. He says there won't be another one. 4 episodes isn't arduous. I did have to watch it in the daytime because a woman living on her own, there's the potential with Luther for it to be too scary. This one I didn't find too scary, mainly because I never go on a bus, I think.
Yeah, but that bus bit wasn't particularly scary.
Well, people said it was. If you are a woman on her own who goes on the bus at night,
I never sit upstairs.
That could be scary. Anyway. Certainly earlier series of Luther have upset me more than that. There was one where he put somebody's hand in a blender,
there's one where he was under the bed. It stopped telling what.
Yeah. People do say it's very violent and there's a lot of deaths and all of that sort of thing. Somehow I'm able to, if anything, Manhunt, which is a true story, it would be more scary to me than any kind of fictionalized. Yeah.
And also, I don't see how watching it in the daytime can help, because surely you still remember it by the evening.
It's not memory, really. It's that when you're scared in the night in the dark, you're not scared in the daytime, are you?
Yeah.
But so it was just an insurance policy. I still wasn't working last week, so it was an insurance policy unless it was scary.
And nice to be able to watch things in the daytime. It feels like a treat.
Do you know, I've never watched daytime television in my life, but watch whatever television I like in the daytime if I want to, if that makes sense. I don't really get the whole breakfast television, Lorraine, Phil, Holly, Eamon thingamy. I don't get that at all. Don't get it. They just seem to be talking endlessly about nothing.
It's background noise for people who are getting ready for work. That's what it is.
Why can't people have nice peace and quiet when they're getting ready for work?
Because honestly, some people can't. My ex-husband had to have something going all the time. Steve constantly had Rick Stein in the background.
I know. I've had people, I've stayed in hotel rooms with people who think, turn that bloody thing off. But no, they've got to have it on. It's weird, isn't it?
But then sometimes, my kids don't like eating dinner in silence, so they've been indoctrinated by their father, whereas I'm quite happy. Heather can't bear any noise in the background when she's eating.
No, of course not, for the same reason as I can, only heard about 1,000 times, which is, we're very sensitive with our ears because of music.
Absolutely, yeah. So, totally enjoyed Luther. I loved, that house in Hampstead Heath that wasn't Hermione Norris fantastic in that? She was
good. She was deliciously coldly evil. And, of course, Alice is marvellous in that as well, isn't she?
Yeah.
Alice, the character, Ruth Wilson, she's fantastic. It attracts top talent, that show.
Well, it would do, wouldn't it? I mean, do you want to be in a show with Luther? Yes!
We do. And then, of course, the next night, he was presenting at the Golden Globes. Very handsome.
Such a funny selfie he took with Daniel Craig next to him. Have you seen it?
Yes, because he does something. Why were they laughing? They were laughing. Oh, whatever. Yes, Daniel Craig, lovely.
Yeah, but it was because everyone's talking about Idris Elba as
being Bond. I think he's blown it now. I think he's too old for Bond now.
Oh, he's so handsome still, though.
He is handsome, but he's too old, I think.
Oh, and I thought he really played... as a fiction genre, the lone wolf detective, he's just so good at it.
Well, and that overcoat that does all the acting. Marvellous. Yeah.
There we go. Are we? What's impressed you? Oh no, I'm not allowed to ask, am I?
No, you're not. But I will tell you mine. And actually, I'm taking a leaf out of your playbook both today and tomorrow for our first 2 episodes, which is I'm going to big up my family. And today, I'm going to talk about my brother on 2 counts. He did a fabulous job on Christmas Day of keeping the peace. Because he kept quoting from Love Actually. He kept saying every time the levels threatened to turn into a row or a spat, he kept saying, because they always watch Love Actually every year, he kept saying things like "love is all around," and in this calm voice, as though we would calm down from our, noisy, out of control, aggressive, angry, argumentative to, oh yes, we do love one another, really,
And that's why
when I got there, he was wearing this. He is very good in the kitchen when it comes to roast dinners and Christmas dinners, and so it's a 2-man job in their house, him and his wife. And she's a vegetarian, which is probably why when meat's involved, he gets in there. And he was wearing his sprauncy apron, and I didn't really notice, but I could see that he'd lost weight, and it transpires that he'd lost the weight of their turkey, which is 12 kilos. 12 kilos. Now, I don't speak kilos, but it's quite a lot. It's a 1 point something stone, so it's quite a lot. And I said, "How did you do that?" And he said, "Well, I followed your advice, Judith. I gave up food carbs, not liquid ones." Now, okay. I want to talk about this because when I work with men's bodies are very different to women's bodies. So what happens when I work with my low carb clients is their husbands who do it with them lose more weight than they do faster. It is annoying. Women's bodies, when it comes to booze, are different from men's in both senses, giving it up, not get. So he lost 12 kilos not giving up booze. I don't think a woman could do that, to be honest. And that was his choice because, we've got a special relationship with booze in our family, and it worked. I thought so. He did terribly well on, losing 12 kilos, relating it to a turkey, and keeping the peace on Christmas Day.
And lovely that he obviously was inspired by you.
Well, I think actually he has given up not all foodie carbs before, but once before I remember he gave up bread, and he lost a lot of weight just doing that as well. I know. You
realise how bad it is for you, doesn't it?
Well, quite. Yes, It's the beige food. You see, it's what Janet Swift's doctor calls the beige food, which is potatoes, rice, bread, chips. Yes, exactly, beige food because it's got no nutrients in. No. Mind you, not that liquid carbs that my brother likes to consume have nutrients in either, but there's what is it we always used to say? There's food for the soul and food for the body, and food for the body is colourful, meat or not meat, fish and veg, and food for the soul in his world is liquid carbs. And he knows it's shortening his life, and he says if it shortened my life by 20 years, I'd give it up. If it's just going to shorten my life by 3, I'm not. Yeah,
I'm with him on that one.
Yeah.
But no, I just remembered I totally forgot to put Nelson's nut roast in on Christmas Day. So
poor Nels. He's a vegetarian, is he?
He is. He's gone vegetarian just recently, yes. And
okay.
He's playing with the idea of vegan, but I did forget.
Well, veganism's all the rage. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have seen it. But Janet Street Porter was talking about it.
Well, it's not actually better for the planet, interestingly, if you go into it. But let's get into that because it's terribly controversial, and I know quite a lot of our listeners are vegans and vegetarians as well. Right. But anyway, my family. So you're always bigging up your family, and I realise I don't very much. So I'm going to do it today and tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I'll look forward.
And on that cheery note, I'll see you in the morning.
All right then. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
How do they do it? Not a care and suffering. Wanna step into their world.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.